Have you suffered a loss in life? Have you experienced some type of change? I wonder whether you've maybe experienced grief. Have you maybe lost a grandparent, maybe a sibling, maybe a parent, or even possibly a friend? At some point in our lives, all of us will experience a loss. And I just want to share about this to help you to understand the process that you go through when experiencing a loss. And what's led to me creating this video is because it was Mother's Day yesterday, and for myself it's quite a difficult day, and the main reason is because I've lost my mother, unfortunately. So Mother's Day is bittersweet. I have many good memories with my mum, and I would attribute who I am today because of my mother. She was a strong-willed, forthright, determined and ambitious woman, and I believe that she's transferred some of those traits into myself. And even through what I do through my job, through mentoring, a lot of that is driven by my early experiences and what I've been exposed to. So what I wanted to share with you today is just give you some insights into the process of grief, or the loss cycle. And you can apply this to different losses. It could be a loss of a relationship, a loss of a friendship, maybe a broken marriage, separation, or it could be a bereavement, a loss of a family member or friend. So just try and apply it to yourself. So the first stage is that you experience a sense of denial. You're not willing to accept what has actually happened because you're in a state of shock, and the time period for this can vary depending on you as an individual, depending on your resilience, your genetic makeup, and how you tend to deal with adversity. There can be a lot of confusion and fear when you're in that stage of denial, and it can have an impact on those around you because you might be looking to blame others, or you may be unwilling to accept the situation. The next stage is anger. When someone experiences a sense of frustration, there can also be shame and embarrassment, and a lot of questions. The narrative might be, why me? Why have I lost this person? Why have I experienced this broken relationship? Why have I lost this job? But once you're able to move through the anger, then you transition onto a bargaining stage. And that's when you try and negotiate with either God or a higher power and try and understand what's happened. So this type of questions that you might pose to yourself is, what if I did that? If only I would have done this. If they maybe didn't go to a certain place, it wouldn't have happened. If I didn't say that, I wouldn't have lost that friendship, I wouldn't have lost the job. Following that, it can cause you to feel quite down, sad and depressed, and it's important not to stay at that bargaining stage too long because there can be a lot of ruminating, and ruminating can lead to anxiety and also to keeping you feeling quite flat and deflated. And if you do experience that stage of depression, it can cause isolation. So it's important to remember not to stay in these stages for too long, but to acknowledge them and to recognise that you're moving through a process. So following this, the final stage, what I'm sharing is it's a grief cycle. It's based on the Kubler-Ross cycle, and there are other variations of this grief cycle. So the final stage is acceptance. When you're able to accept the new reality, you're able to accept that your relationship has changed, your status has changed, that this person is no longer in your life, that you've experienced the loss of a friendship, that you've experienced the loss of a of a parent. And for me, I'd say that's my mother, unfortunately, and it took me a while. Initially I was in denial. I knew she'd gone, clearly, but I was in the final year of university studying psychology, so the way that I coped with that was focusing on my exams and studies because I had to succeed, and I'm grateful I got a 2-1. I think that's quite miraculous considering I'd lost my mum. I didn't take a year out of university, and I'm extremely grateful to grateful to God. You know, my faith is important for me as an individual, and I know that helped me through the process and my community and support network, family and friends. But through that cycle, you know, I had to support family members. I had to be there for my sister, who unfortunately was suicidal, and she was off work for a year. It was just a nightmare. But you know, this was over 16 years ago, so that's why I can talk about it now. But maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't have been able to share this, but I'm sharing it in order to help those out there that have experienced grief and loss, because it is a lonely journey. You can feel quite isolated. There can be an element of shame, embarrassment. Why me? I even, you know, sometimes say, why me? Why do I? Why am I not able to communicate with my mother? Why am I not able to share certain experiences with her? So there, you know, that is normal. So if that's you out there, if you do have those type of questions, I just want to normalise some of the experiences that you have. It's okay to feel that way, and it's okay not to feel okay. Just go with the flow. However long it takes you, that is fine. And everyone's journey of grief and loss and going through change is different. So don't compare yourself to other people, because we're all different. We've got different personalities. Some people will just continue being busy and active because that's what's going to help them to kind of manage those feelings, and that tends to be in the denial stage. But sooner or later, you've got to work your way through that process. And finally, once you've come to that acceptance of the loss, of the trauma and of the change, then you begin to readjust. Then you begin to have new hope. You begin to think about your future. You have a newfound confidence. You learn from the experiences. You let go of certain things and you accept the loss. And the purpose of this is to enable you to grow. When you go through a loss, you can either decide to grow, or you can stagnate, or you can retreat. And I hope that I've helped you to acknowledge and to realise that although you may have experienced adversity and difficulty, you can come out on the other end a stronger person if you just go through the process. So I want you to know that you're not alone. It's okay not to feel okay, and that grief and loss is a normal part of life, and all of us at some point in our lives are going to experience this. So it's important to confront it, to be aware of it, and to embrace it, because all of us are going to die at one point in our lives, or there will be some type of loss, maybe a friendship or a loss of a job. It's part of life. So I hope you found this helpful, and if you've got any questions about it, feel free to send me a direct message or to comment. And if you feel that you need help to work through grief or loss, get in contact, and I am here to help. And due to these experiences that I've encountered, it allows me to empathise with the people that I work with on a deeper level, because I have been where you have been. However, I'm on the other side, and I'm grateful for that, and you too can be on the other side.